Whoa!
This was a chemical explosion in Lebanon, just around 3 years ago. And the footage recorded from so many different angles is just jaw-dropping. It is known that around 200 people were killed from this explosion, and somewhere around 7,000 people were injured. The main explosion was equivalent to around a kiloton of TNT. A kiloton! That's 1,000 tons of TNT. That's so many tons, we had to make a new name for it. This is just for scale. Let's move over to atomic weapons. This is Gadget, the first ever atomic bomb tested. This single device literally changed the way we feel about war. Gadget works because of special radioactive elements. The goal is to get this subcritical mass to go supercritical. They basically just squeeze it until it explodes. Smaller explosions go off inside a casing, and they're kind of surrounding this ball of plutonium. When it finally reaches the innermost core, two elements, plutonium and beryllium, are fused together, releasing a burst of neutrons. These neutrons collide with plutonium atoms, splitting the atom and in turn releasing more neutrons. We call this nuclear fission. Okay, now that we have a very poor understanding of nuclear physics, let's see this thing explode. This bomb yielded 20 kilotons. That's Lebanon 20 times over. That's insane. The amount of destruction this bomb can cause breaks my mind. To show the true destructive power of this bomb, I'm going to be dropping it on my school. In a simulation, of course. This main circle shows what is effectively vaporized. The entire school just disappears, along with everything inside that circle. You can also see the heavy blast damage, nearly 100% fatality in this circle. Thousands of lives lost in an instant. Only weeks later, the same bombs developed in the Manhattan Project were used against Japan, the first and only time atomic bombs were used in war. The United States was, at the time, the only country to have nuclear weapons working, and it would be about a year until they tested bombs again, in Operation Crossroads. And this is some of the most famous footage of atomic testing. This boat had the same bomb as Gadget underneath it. These bombs were the same ones developed in the Manhattan Project, so the yield is about the same, 20 kilotons. Oh, yeah, this is Bikini Atoll. This area was our nuclear playground for a while. This boat right here was instantly vaporized, and no part of it has ever been found. Now we have Operation Sandstone. Here we're testing different cores that were developed in the Manhattan Project. 3 tests were conducted, the largest of which yielded 50 kilotons. It hasn't even been 3 years, and we've already doubled the output of these bombs. But they say that the output was inefficient. After this, the Soviets tested their first nuclear bomb, and their bomb is oddly similar to Fat Man, and the yield was the exact same, 20 kilotons. This is thanks to some atomic spies, which were people that gave secretive information about nuclear weapons to the Soviet Union. It's the early 1950s, and the United States is now on their 4th series of nuclear testing. And we're back on American soil! These are the first bomb tests done at the Nevada test site. Here we just see more proof of concept. Nothing more powerful than we've already seen. We're now on our 5th series of nuclear testing, Operation Greenhouse. They had to test these bombs back out in the Pacific Ocean, in their collection of stolen atolls. And these bombs were just record-breaking. The 3rd test is the most intriguing one. They named the bomb George, and it was used to test the principles of thermonuclear weapons. In this we see the first fusion output from an atomic weapon. The bomb is what you would call a boosted fission weapon. From George, we got a yield of 225 kilotons. Think about that for a second. It's only been 6 years, and we've already 10x the destruction we can cause. This is what the explosion looks like compared to Gadget. Keep in mind, everything inside this yellow circle is vaporized, gone, and that doesn't even account for the destruction happening outside of the fireball. This technology was developed over 70 years ago. 70 years. Checking back in on the Soviets, their highest yield is now 40 kilotons. In 1952, the United Kingdom became the 3rd nuclear power, and they developed a fission bomb, and it yielded around 25 kilotons. The United States is now on their 8th series of nuclear testing, Operation Ivy. This is the first test of a multi-stage thermonuclear weapon, and these bombs are on a completely different level. We have to use an entirely different term to describe the power of these bombs. Megatons. A megaton is 1,000 kilotons. Up until now, we only have 1/4 of a megaton, and that's just the United States. The Soviets and the United Kingdom are nowhere close to that number. This is Edward Teller. Just as Oppenheimer is credited as the father of the atomic bomb, Edward Teller is described as the father of the hydrogen bomb. He was also a part of the Manhattan Project, where he first theorized this bomb. Edward Teller and a team had been studying hydrogen bombs well before Operation Ivy. This is Mike. Mike is a multi-stage thermonuclear weapon. It uses a fission bomb as the primary or the first stage, and the second stage contains fusion fuel, typically isotopes of hydrogen like deuterium and tritium. To ignite a fusion reaction, you need temperatures in the order of hundreds of millions of degrees Celsius, and pressure in the order of billions of atmospheres. To get the needed amount of heat and pressure, a fission bomb was necessary for the first stage. And this is also why fusion reactions are so much more powerful than fission. The primary stage ignites, heating and compressing the second stage. When the fusion fuel reaches the desired heat and pressure, fusion begins. Instead of ripping heavy atoms apart, we're combining smaller atoms together. Of course, atomic weapons are not this simple, but now that we have a basic understanding of how certain thermonuclear weapons work, let's see this thing explode.
Minus 10 seconds. 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, T0.
This was the first megaton yielding weapon. Not 1 megaton, not 2 megatons, but 10.5 megatons. This is absolutely insane. We're back at the school, so let's do a comparison. We have the first ever nuclear bomb. The fireball engulfs just about the entire school. Now watch what happens when I switch over to Ivy Mike. You can fit the entire explosion of Gadget inside the fireball of Ivy Mike. Just the fireball. Keep in mind what these circles describe. The center yellow one is the fireball. This red circle is called heavy blast damage. The lighter gray circle indicates moderate blast damage. Pretty much 100% fatality. This final circle indicates thermal radiation. If you're in this circle, you're going to get 3rd-degree burns. The island they tested this device at now has a massive crater that is as deep as a 13-story building and is nearly a mile across. In less than 90 seconds, the mushroom cloud was already 17 kilometers high, or 56,000 feet tall. I don't think you understand the true destructive power of this bomb. If we were to take the power of Ivy Mike and convert it into as many gadget bombs as possible, or the same bomb dropped on Nagasaki, and do as much destruction as possible, what could we do? You can start by bombing every single capital in the United States. And then you can continue bombing. You can bomb 9 more cities in every single state in America. And there's still 25 bombs left over. A couple weeks later, the second test of Operation Ivy took place. Ivy King. Ivy King was dropped from an airplane, and this bomb broke the record for the purest fission bomb, just around 500 kilotons. This is the most powerful pure fission bomb ever tested by the United States. Still nothing in comparison to Ivy Mike. The date is August 12th, 1953. The Soviet Union is on their 4th atomic test, what the United States referred to as Joe 4. The test yielded around 400 kilotons. This was the first fusion bomb tested by the Soviet Union. The bomb works off what they call a layered cake design, basically fusion and fission material layered, but the actual details of the bomb are still highly classified. The United States is about to conduct their second thermonuclear weapon test, in Operation Castle. Most of the tests were multi-megaton explosions. The main attraction here is Castle Bravo. This bomb tested a solid type of fusion fuel, lithium deuteride. The device worked on the same principles as Ivy Mike, a primary stage and a secondary stage. The primary stage sets the conditions for a fusion reaction in the secondary stage. The primary stage used a boosted fission bomb termed Cobra. Mike didn't use a boosted fission bomb. Well, let's see this thing explode. Within a second, the fireball reached 4.5 miles across. That literally means everything within a 4.5 mile radius is gone, or as they would like to say, vaporized. Castle Bravo left a crater 6,500 feet wide and 250 feet deep. In about a minute, the mushroom cloud was 47,000 feet tall and 7 miles wide. The explosion yielded 15 megatons. Oh, and by the way, they were only expecting 5. But think of how insanely crazy that number is. That's 15,000 kilotons. 15 million tons of TNT. And this weapon can be dropped from a plane or put on a missile. Castle Bravo was the largest nuclear bomb ever tested by the United States. And they weren't even planning on that. Mankind has made some horrifying creations, and this device is definitely one of them. This bomb uses the same kind of design as the Teller-Alam design, but instead it has a third stage. You have the first stage, the primary fission stage, which then ignites the secondary stage, a fusion stage, but then the secondary fusion stage ignites a third fusion stage. These 3 stages work together to produce 100 megatons of TNT. I could only imagine what these bombs would do to a majorly populated area. Actually, I don't have to imagine it. I can simulate it. How scary is this? People all the way out in Denver and Fort Collins are getting 3rd-degree burns. People as far as Castle Rock receive 3rd-degree burns. And this doesn't even account for nuclear fallout. Luckily, this horrifying creation was never made. But they did build and test one half the size. Meet the Tsar Bomba, one of the most famous nukes in history, and for good reason. This bomb came in at just around 27 tons. They were somehow able to attach this massive device to the outside of an airplane. A massive 17,000 square foot parachute was used to slow the descent of the bomb, giving the aircrafts enough time to escape the explosion.
Бомба приближается к точке взрыва. 2, 1, 0.
When this device detonated, a fireball 5 miles across was generated. A mushroom cloud over 40 miles tall climbed into the sky. The blast wave circled around the Earth 3 times, and windows were shattered nearly 500 miles away. And this is the scaled down version of the design. Nuclear weapons are still something that I can't wrap my head around. And I don't think many people understand the true destructive power of these devices. We can attach these insanely powerful multi-megaton weapons to missiles and shoot them across the world. We have these warheads in our submarines just waiting for someone to make a move. And there's really no limit to how much you can scale these bombs. Edward Teller proposed a 10 gigaton bomb, but that's for another video. I encourage you to test some of these bombs that I talked about in this video on nukemap, and place it in your own town to give you a better perspective. I'll put a link in the description to the website. Anyways, thanks for watching.